conclusion of the pledge, I'd ask you to please remain standing. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This past week, our community lost two people that served our citizens in a variety of ways. Sandy Cook passed away Thursday morning. Born in Buffalo, graduating from Honeyhill Falls, Sandy moved to Massena shortly after graduation, was hired by WMSA, worked a variety of positions until ultimately becoming the host of the Extravaganza morning show. As the saying goes, the rest is history, because he later went on to become the voice of Massena. Many of us tuning in to listen to him both in good times and bad times. He served a 4-year term as town supervisor and volunteered for many events and functions, lending his skills and notoriety to many causes. He gave his time and talents tirelessly to Massena to help us, and he'll be greatly missed. Patricia Tubbs passed away Thursday evening. Born in Parma, Ohio, moved to Massena with her family in 1999. Together with her husband John, she operated the Business Development Corporation here in Massena for several years, and in private worked on behalf of so many organizations in Massena and the North Country to obtain grant funding, and she helped raise money for various groups and causes. A lifelong lover of music, Pat was a strong proponent of the value of music in our lives, and she helped form Massena Music Friends. Pat was a member of Massena Moving Forward Coalition, and I have to say her vision, her experience, and her input was incredibly useful to the coalition and to me personally. Massena is a better community because of Sandy Cook and Pat Tubbs. The Village of Massena sends its condolences to the family and friends of both Sandy Cook and Patricia Tubbs, and I ask you to join trustees and I in a moment of silence in honoring these two caring and special people. Thank you. Remind you to please silence your electronic devices. That would be appreciated. I call the October 4th, 2016 Village Board of Trustees meeting to order. Roll call. Mr. Offeld. Yes, sir. Mr. Carville. Here. Mr. Shays. Here. Mr. Levere. Here. I'm here. Reports of committees and reports of officers and committees. Code enforcement. Mr. Carville. Mr. Levere. Fire committee. Mr. Carville. Mr. Levere.
We're getting a date together. We're going to meet with both the volunteers and the drivers shortly. We're having trouble coordinating everybody to get the same date.
Personnel committee, Mr. Carville, Mr. Deshays.
We will be meeting shortly for interviews.
Police committee, Mr. Carville, Mr. Deshays.
Talk to the police chief. I guess everything's as usual.
Recreation commission, Mr. Deshays.
Haven't met. We met next Tuesday. I'll report the next meeting.
Street committee, Mr. Offeld, Mr. Levere.
That's something under new business.
Water and sewer committee, Mr. Offeld, Mr. Levere.
Two things under new business.
Initial public comment period. As always, I ask you to please stand and state your name for the record. Initial public comment. Seeing none, we're moving on. Old business, award rebid of the installation of spray foam insulation at the water treatment plant. Mr. Fayette.
Yes, the last meeting that we had here, the board, under my recommendation, rejected the sole bidder of Northern Spray Foam. Subsequently, between that time and now, we went and rebid the project, again adding 4 additional firms to this bid. We did happen to receive 3 bids this time with Northern Spray Foam. Although Northern Spray Foam is $3,450 higher than the low bid. All their documents were in order. We received the necessary bonds, and we also received the collusion form. They bid a total of $58,000 for the spray foam installation of the filter room at the water plant. I have currently in the budget $47,772 for this process. So the difference between what I have budgeted and the lowest responsible bidder, that being a Northern Spray Foam, is $10,228, which would have to be could be absorbed through the contingency fund. of the water department. So, with that said, I would recommend that we, award the contractor Northern Spray Foam the lowest responsible bidder for this project.
Trustees?
Just a couple of questions. The last bid came in at $47,500, about $10,500 less than this bid. Is there any reasoning behind why the bid went up $10,000?
Mhm. The last time they bid it, although it was listed in specs that I wanted 5 inches on the ceiling, they bid it at 3 inches of spray foam. So, this time they bid it for a 5-inch insulation on the ceiling, $58,000.
And also, what does this have to be covered with? Doesn't that foam have to be covered with a fire retardant, like sheetrock or something like something?
It's not a sheetrock, it's a paint, if you will, and that it's an intumescent paint, which is fire retardant, and it's included in that bid price. They're gonna spray an 18 mil thickness throughout the installation.
Those are my questions.
So moved.
Mr. Upholt, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Deshaies, further discussion? So to be clear, the low bidder did not meet the did not meet the specifications required in the bid.
Correct.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business, accept resignation of Susie LaPointe, Housing Rehab Program, PT clerical. This happened kind of suddenly, that was in her plans, but her husband retired. They are relocating to a warmer climate.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Upholt, second by Mr. Deshaies. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Authorization to advertise for PT clerical position in the Housing Rehab Office.
Move.
Mr. Levere,
Second.
second by Mr. Upholt. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion installation of handicap parking spaces on Bailey Road near St. Joseph's Church. Mr. Fayette.
This was brought to our attention a couple of months ago by Mr. Victor Perry, who attends that church. And so, what we decided to do, and we did this a week and a half ago, was that we installed the temporary handicap parking stall signs, if you will, on Bailey Road, right on that corner, to see how that would work. So this past Sunday was, I believe, the first day that they recognized those signs. I have not had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Perry about that, but we'll go through a couple of Sundays and see how that works for them, because they're having hard times having their handicaps access that building because they get blocked in if they park under the normal parking lot situation. So we're doing a temporary, see how it's going to work for them, and if it does work, then we can solicit the board to install permanent signage there for them.
Next meeting, maybe we'll have some additional feedback from them.
I suspect, yes.
Thank you. Proposed resolution authorized to execute St. Lawrence County Snow and Ice Control Agreement. Mr. Fayette.
Again, this is an annual agreement that we have with St. Lawrence County to purchase salt under the terms of the state contract. And it's a necessary evil, I guess, that we gotta go through, but nonetheless, it's an annual agreement that we've been honoring for many years.
So moved. Second. Mr. Levere, second by Mr. Upholt. Discussion? Resolution poll individually. Mr. Upholt. Mr. Carvel. Mr. Deshaies.
Aye.
Mr. Levere.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Authorization to bid pipe bursting for installation of water line on Grove Street at State Route 37. Mr. Fayette.
Included in my budget this year is a project to replace the pipe going under the highway on Grove Street, going from Monroe Muffler to across the street to Burger King in that area. we've had issues on flanking each side of that, and we felt that eventually, we are gonna experience a problem in the highway, if we leave it and not address it. So pre-planning, to have this line replaced, what we would like to do is do a method where they call it pipe bursting, where they stick a torpedo, if you will, inside the existing line, which then fractures that line, creates a void, and as that torpedo is going through the existing line, it's pulling a plastic line or an HDPE line behind it, so it replaces it. And I believe that would be an efficient method to get that line replaced, and we won't have any, be able to sleep at night a little bit better than I do. I have $50,000 allocated in the capital fund to accomplish the task. I do not suspect that it's going to go beyond that.
My gut says you made that sound much more exciting than it really is. Torpedo.
And I shouldn't have used, I probably a back turn, but.
Make a big hole anyway.
Have we used this method before?
Not the pipe bursting method, but we've done directional drilling, which directional drilling in this case would be more expensive for us as opposed to pipe bursting.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Revere, second by Mr. Deshaies. Discussion.
I like that we're doing budgeted proactive rather than waiting for something more catastrophic, so.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Proposed authorization to purchase recycling totes. Mr. Bayard, this is kind of like your meeting.
Me again, huh? Back in 2012, I wrote 2 grants. One was for the purchase of recycling containers, that being 32-gallon size, that's in our code, 32-gallon size, and we'll color code them such that they put all their products into one container, much like they're doing today. However, the smaller blue containers, the blue bins that we offer, are very small, and they can't handle all the volume of recycling that we're putting out. So in 2012, I wrote the grant. We got awarded the grant this past June, I think it was, $42,500, I believe it is. But it's a matching grant, so it's 50%. So we have to come up with the other $42,000. I figured about an $84,000 bill to purchase the containers. The grant gives us half of that. So that's what I'm looking to do. And then once we get that, we have to distribute them to one per each account that we have here. So that, again, that's a planning issue, and distribution is going to be pretty challenging, I think. Nonetheless, that's the intent of
The
it.
same size as our existing one?
It cannot be any bigger than 32 gallons because that's in the code. So what I'm going to try to do is get a container that has wheels and a hinged lid, is what I would like to do if we can, if the economics works out. So,
For our matching portion, budgeted by any chance, what would you be?
yeah, it is in there. It's in our budget.
So,
Second.
Mr. Oppold, second by Mr. Revere. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Proposed resolution, authorize implementation of work site wellness program. As you know, the clerk's been working on this for some time, and essentially it's a policy just to embrace healthy work habits. Also opens up access to some funding.
So moved.
Mr. Revere.
Second.
Second by Mr. Deshaies. Discussion. Resolution poll individually. Mr. Otto.
Aye.
Mr. Carvel. Aye. Mr. Deshaies.
Aye.
Mr. Revere.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Voucher warrants.
I move that the vouchers signed by trustee Carvel and myself be approved.
Second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Monthly reports, there's a couple on the table. Communications and correspondence. We've adjusted our work hours in the town hall on a trial basis. to 8 to 4. 8 to 4. I have no other correspondence. Anyone else?
I was disappointed to see the news in the state last, I guess it was last week and maybe even the week before, about the Buffalo billion and the corruption that's going on. When we're up here starving for economic development money and things of that nature are going on, it's very disheartening.
Very true. Closing public comment period.
Once Mr. Preet Bahara is on your coattails, you're in trouble. Good friend to have, not a good enemy to have.
Closing public comment period. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Rockwell, second by Mr. Lebeer. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Have a good evening, everyone.
Two.
Nice.